What a mess. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Salty Roots. It's Joe. Thanks for checking out another video. You know, one of the things I love about this channel is it really has motivated me to get things off the project list, to get started on some things I've been meaning to do. And today's a perfect example of that. You know, I really wanted to get a video out this week, and so decided I would go ahead and get that controller board put together to clean up some of my wires. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. And let's get started on this controller board. I got started by taking measurements of the cabinet, then seeing what I had in my random wood scrap pile. And this is me realizing this is not going to be fun. So probably should have Googled some controller boards before I drilled. Not sure why I thought the holes up here would make a lot of sense, especially if I plan on putting any equipment up here and then running the wires back down. Probably should have them hole be more in the middle. Also not sure why I thought the holes needed to be so big. Most of the controller boards I found on Google had more of like narrow horizontal slots for the ports to come through. So lesson learned, I'm going to scrap this one. Luckily I have another board very similar to this that I'll cut to the right size, and I'll bring my holes down a little bit more towards the center, and also probably make them a bit smaller. I'd definitely recommend using one of these circle drill bits if you can. That's actually made for wood. As you can see, it has the black part sticking out. That drill bit really helps you get your hole started a lot easier. That's a little bit better. I'm thinking I can have the MP40 controls go up here. I'm likely going to keep the dose on the side of the cabinet. I'm going to keep the apex on the side of the cabinet, so a couple of MP40 controls, and I don't know, potentially the auto top off or anything else. So I think I'll do is have the wires for the MP40s coming out here, or even both of them coming out here. That should leave me room to put something else up there, probably the power unit for the core return pump. I'm wondering if I should put a hole in the middle just for equipment down the road. And then lastly, I think I'll put a couple really small holes down here in the bottom in case I have any ports that need to come out and be, you know, all the way to the ground. That same problem where it doesn't have the drill bit on it, so you just kind of have to work it until you get a groove. You can get going. It wants to slide all over the place. So anyone working with, or that works with wood, probably laughing. Just found out the way that you should do that is, of course, just start very slow, working your way around, and that's obviously going to make a groove instead of just firing as fast as it can go. Obviously, it's going to spin all over the place, so just start really slow. It'll catch a groove within a couple of seconds, go from there. So, live and learn. So that one will work out pretty nicely. It's a nice piece of oak that I just happen to have from building stands in the past, so that's saving me a lot of money, obviously. You can, like I said, mount a few things up here, run the cords through here. Anything that needs to be down low, and then just kind of an extra one in the middle, more just in case. But It'll look a lot nicer than that mess that I have down there right now. So what I need to do is paint this black. And fortunate, it's going to be an easy installation. So with this Red Sea reefer stand, I luckily, as you can see, have a board that comes down up top. So I'll just go ahead and drill the top of that controller board directly into that. I don't need to, come up with anything else or DIY anything else to make it stand up. I already have something to drill into, as opposed to just an empty back of the stand. So again, above and below, I'll just drill that directly in there and go from there. Now thinking about it a little bit more, I actually don't want the board completely flush up against those spots, because as you saw, I drilled 2 holes in the bottom of the controller board. So if that's flush up against there, you won't be able to run any wires back through there. So what I'll do is put some blocks against this board, and then I'll drill the controller board to the blocks, creating a bit of a gap there to run the wires back through. So from another project I did, actually use some of this particle board for stair risers, and I had to cut off the exact same amount. So I had just 4 blocks sitting in the garage, because I'm one of those people that keeps wood around. You never know what you're going to need it for. Perfect example. So I'll just put 4 boards in all of the corners. Then this will create that separation to where I have that much of a gap to run cords back through, as opposed to it just being flush up against that back wall and then not being able to run cords. So as you can see, it's above my hole, and so I can run the cord right through there with no problem. Alright, so I have my 4 boards there. Like I said, the controller board will sit against those, and the distance between this wall and this is going to create a gap down here for the cords to run. What a mess. I'm all done.
I need help.
All done.
I need help. I need help.
No, Bella, no! Gotta go wash it, Dawn. I threw a gloss enamel finish on it. Again, just something I had around, the paint, and so far have not spent any money, minus a paintbrush. I did have to go get a paintbrush. This part, the quiet drive motor of the MP40 does not detach. And this runs down to the dry side, which is a huge piece on the outside of the tank. So because that doesn't detach, I would have to be able to fit this through the controller board, which is, I'm guessing, why the ones you see online on like BRS are horizontal, so you can slip this through like that. Because it's obviously not going to fit through my circle. my mess of cords back here, I mean, they are individually tied off. I just tried to bunch them up so I could get the back up against my blocks, but with as many cords that I have down there below, they're pressing right up against that block and it won't sit flush, so I'm sure I may ditch those all together and just do a smaller skinny block coming off all corners, coming straight out, like a 1x2 or something, or 2x2, coming straight off of the corners. It's probably the better tactic here. 4 of these blocks obviously give me a little bit more room, and put liquid nails against the 4 corners. That way I have the length of that block room to put cords back there. Should work out a lot better. All right, so as you can see, I now have these 4 blocks liquid nailed, and I'll have that much space for all those cords to sit back there as opposed to just a tiny 1/2 inch space, so that should work out a lot better. So it's obviously a bit of a mess, but I do have all of the cords individually wrapped up. It just looks like a mess because I have them bunched up in between my 2 blocks. But again, I pulled them all apart, separated them, and tied them up individually. So if I start to pull them apart, you can see it's not quite as messy as it appears. It's hard to see in the video. So they're in between the blocks now, so ideally this will just slide right up. Now that just the whole cabinet looks so much nicer, I obviously need to get some better dosing containers. I just have random gallon jugs there that now, when you look at it from afar, just look out of place. So that's that. It took way longer than I thought it was going to take, but as always, I hope you learn from some of my mistakes and that you could put something like this together a lot quicker by skipping over those mistakes that I made. Again, didn't spend any money on this outside of the paint to paint the controller board black. Just had the supplies lying around. And so the takeaways that I have are to really plan out where you're going to put the equipment first. That way you know where to drill your holes for your wires, where they're going to look the best. So again, just plan out where you're going to have all the equipment, make some sketches, some marks on the board, and then you drill your holes from that. Make sure you have at least one hole big enough for your biggest piece of equipment that you'll have to slide through. Hopefully you just have cords that you have to run through. In my case, I had to run, like I said, the whole MP40 controller or drive through because it was attached on one side to the controller, the other side to the dry side. There was no small, cord just to run through. So I had to make a box in the middle big enough to put the whole controller through. So make sure you're sizing that up front. And then I would recommend just making a box right out of the gate instead of, just a flat board like I did. And then I had to put the blocks, against the back of the board later on. There's just a hassle. So instead of just a flat board, I would go ahead and put those blocks that I did directly onto the back of your board and then putting that whole box right in. So skipping over those, you should be able to put this together, very quickly and, save quite a bit of money, being that, I think online they're like $100 to $200, for the controller boards. So should be able to put something together. It saves your rat nest. It looks so much better, and I definitely recommend doing it.